My name is Jonathan Nangle and I lecture in music technology and electroacoustic composition here in the Royal Irish Academy of Music. For the Fluxus Festival that was on recently, I put on an installation called Breathe. The installation itself involves 12 DC motors, propellers, plastic bags, and a small kind of computer called an Arduino. It's rather unusual. When you come across it, you see a kind of tabletop, and on top of this you might recognize these bamboo steamers that you can buy in the Asian market, on top of which there is a plastic bag that is in essence breathing. For the simplicity of what it looks like, there's an awful lot of technology going on in the background. So in this instance, I'm using the Arduino to actually drive 12 DC motors. So I'm turning those motors on and off in particular patterns. Now, there's 12 in total, and they're actually divided into two sets of 6. So each group is running in a pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so they're running in simultaneously. So the 12 are kind of running like this. And in essence, what's happening is the Arduino is generating algorithmic rhythmic patterns. It's using random number lists to generate these on-off messages. And it cycles through these, constantly changing. So over a long period of time, you'll see the motors will speed up and slow down. Sometimes they'll go on for a long period of time and then turn off. Sometimes they'll just turn on and off very quickly. So the actual installation itself is like a living, breathing thing. And then in either corner, I have actually rewired the propellers so that instead of blowing and inflating the bags, they actually suck the air out, and so you get this kind of rattle instead of the bag. It's kind of and that kind of marks the point at which each sequence starts. So you get, it kind of adds another layer of audio and another kind of element to it. Installation work was not something that I consciously decided to do. And it came about when I was doing my master's course in Trinity. I did the music and media technology course. And it was in the second year of my master's, one of our lecturers who taught us a program called Max MSP, he set as an assignment to build an installation. What the installation is, it's something I still have and I continue to put on, is called environmental paving. It involves pressure sensors. And when you step on these pressure sensors, you hear a footstep in some other environment. So it was, my idea behind that was this sense of, I suppose, almost like sensory dislocation, removing you from the environment that you are in. So, you know, you're walking across a room, but rather than being, you know, deadened by the carpet that you're on, you're actually hearing your footsteps in an entirely different environment, and I quite liked that idea. But I have another one called Trip Delight Fantastic, which uses solar panels to play bells. So it gathers light. Once it gathers enough light, it stores this as energy in a capacitor, and once that capacitor reaches a certain threshold, it triggers a motor which has a little hammer on it, which strikes the bell. So generating things through just the weather changes. Sometimes it's difficult to know where a piece of work will bring you. I see Breathe as this kind of living, breathing thing, and I have seen lots of other people react to it in lots of different ways. Some people find it a little disconcerting. They think of it kind of like a medical apparatus that helps people breathe, and they get a little uncomfortable with it. Some people find it very humorous. Something I often compare it to is the motors sound like cows in the distant, kind of mooing in the distance, and I kind of think of it as something quite whimsical. Often I have put on work in children's galleries because they react very strongly to the work and very quickly to the work. They're far more open to it, and it's very interesting to see children interact with the pieces. In particular, as they'll come in and they'll just go for it, whereas their parents will be much more standoffish and they don't want to touch something, and you have to kind of encourage them to touch, that this is the idea behind the piece, that you actually interact with it in some way. And I get a lot of enjoyment from that, and it allows me to step out of the concert hall.
You're kind of making this distinction between installation and your installation work and your musical work, but Breathe, like you said, the plastic bags rustle and the fan blades make noise, and that's a sonic element, that's a music element. So is it right that we think there is a divide between the installation and music? Or is that just theoretical? Is that non-existent?
It's actually very interesting. The idea of the word installation is actually very contentious in art circles. If you were to say to an artist who perhaps worked very much in a visual media, who did an installation, they would think that is a very outdated word, and they would think perhaps work from the 60s or 70s, that it's not a contemporary thing. Coming from a musical background and a composer's background, I think of installation, in particular like sonic installations, sound installations, as something that is much more recent, that I've seen them happening a lot more now. And so it's a word that we're not so much afraid of, I think. But it's a very difficult question. For me, it's just another element of my work. But I do call them installations because they don't involve performers. They involve other mixed media.
But would you class it music?
Some of them, yes, because they literally, it depends on the installation. I have certain installations that are very musical and put together musical pieces.
Would you class Breathe as being music?
I would class Breathe as being an audio-visual installation, another element of my work. Yeah, it's difficult. It's a very difficult question. And interestingly, next year, there's going to be a conference in association with the School of Music in DIT and the School of Creative Arts in DIT, in which the general premise is to try and answer that question.
Any final thoughts? Anything pertinent that you wish to add on that?
Buy my album. Buy my album when it comes out next year.
But surely Breathe is not on the album.
No, go and watch the video of Breathe on my website though.
We'll leave a link in the description of the video.
Yeah, there's a nice video of Breathe recorded when I put it together, shot in a nice style, and it gives a nice overview of what the piece looks like. And there are some of my other installations there as well, including Trip the Light Fantastic and Untitled after Dan Flavin, which is actually, that's a question for, is it music or is it installation? Because it's a piece for 8 computer-controlled lights and soundtrack. So is it music or is it installation? And actually I think of it as both. It's been put on as a concert piece, it's also been put on as an installation piece.
We'll let the viewers decide.
Yeah, exactly. People can draw their own conclusions behind that piece.